Support for WYES is made possible by Mary Lou Kristovich in memory of her husband, William Kristovich.
Good evening, I'm Peggy Scott Laborde and welcome to Steppin Out, spotlighting the New Orleans area's arts and entertainment scene. Seated at our table tonight, artist Allison Stewart, who is a recipient of our Celeste Judell Arts Award. Welcome, Allison. Hello.
Thank you, it's great to be here.
We're delighted you're with us. Poppy Tooker, host of the radio program Louisiana Eats, airing twice weekly on WWNO Radio. Good to see you, kiddo.
Okay.
And artist Campbell Hutchinson, who is also a recipient of our Celeste Judell Arts Award. Welcome, Campbell. Hello. And of course, Steppin Out theater critic Alan Smason, who is the editor of the Crescent City Jewish News. First up, Miss Poppy.
Well, first up, we're going to say congratulations to Simone Reggie of Simone's Market, because at the Poor Boy Festival last weekend, they won Most Original Poor Boy for their Lebication, which was hashway, tabbouleh, and yogurt sauce, and the Best Chicken Poor Boy, which was a smoked fried chicken thigh poor boy. So Simone is really cooking up some great things over there on Oak Street, and she's taking orders now for Thanksgiving dinner. They're just right next door to DTB, another one of my favorite places on Oak Street.
Oak Street.
And then tomorrow, there is the wildest, literally, thing going on. It is the first ever Wild Hog Cook-Off to support coastal restoration. And it's called Cook-Off for the Coast. And of course, this is because, you know, wild hogs are eating the levees. They're a real problem. So they're having from 11 to 4 down in St. Bernard at Dockville Farm this amazing tailgating event that's going to feature amateur cooks, teams of them competing in a wild hog cook-off. There'll be live streaming of the LSU Tennessee game. There'll be cooking demonstrations by local celebrity chefs, and cooking, the judging will happen at halftime of the game, and I'm one of the judges, so come see me and let's all eat some wild hog tomorrow. And then
too bad LSU couldn't get the Razorbacks on their schedule.
that's true, but we're going to see that game anyway. So, and I have been dying to get to Gabrielle since they reopened. I loved it when they were on Esplanade before Katrina, and I'm so happy for Greg and Mary because they are back. Now, for those of you who don't know where they are on Orleans Avenue, just a couple of blocks towards Bayou St. John from Dookie Chase. Not exactly a spot where, in the old days, any of us would have driven and parked for dinner. I can tell you, I took my 92-year-old friend Betty Fussell there for dinner last week. She and I parked across the street from the restaurant. It's brightly lit. There's a guard. There is nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing to be scared of. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of delicious, incredible things, and you're missing out if you don't beat a path there. Because how about rabbit pince de lion? Now, for those of you who don't know what a pince is, that's always a stuffed stomach. And so that is a coarse ground rabbit, duck liver, and grain stuffed bunny belly. Then some of the old favorites from Gabrielle, they're all there. She crab soup and barbecue shrimp pie, the oysters gabi, and of course, the most famous slow roasted duck based with sherry and an orange sauce, crisped in the fryer at the last minute and served over shoestring potatoes. I ate every bite. I'm going back soon for braised rabbit with rose petal syrup and crab meat stuffed whole Gulf shrimp. And of course, the dessert, everyone's favorite peppermint patty is back. Desserts by Mary Saulnier's sister, Anna Banana. So it's delicious. Make a reservation. You might have a hard time getting in. And speaking of making reservations, there are still Thanksgiving Day reservations available at Tujague's, which is, of course, a grand old New Orleans tradition. But I've got something that I think is really exciting, and that's Emerald's Thanksgiving Truffle Dinner. It's going on now through November 29th. 5 courses for $150. Truffled lobster Louis, pan-roasted striped bass with a Satsuma truffle beurre blanc, truffled crab pasta with burgundy truffle vermouth cream and lump crab meat, and fettuccine nero, that's that black fettuccine. Grilled Rains ribeye with marinated smashed potatoes, roasted fairy tale pumpkin, and truffle au poivre. And then for dessert, chocolate flourless cake with white truffle ice cream, white chocolate bark, smoked sea salt, and chocolate crumble. It's the 5 courses for $150 and $65 more if you want the fine wine pairings they've chosen. It's really the thing to do.
That would be a great birthday gift.
It would be a great anything.
That's true.
Please, my birthday was in September, but I'm ready to go. Okay?
Birthday could be anytime.
Anytime.
Right? Yes. Thank you.
Thanks, Peg.
And New Orleans Magazine's quiz queen, Julia Street, has a question for us. Last time, Betty Truckman, hello, Betty, gave us the family name of the brothers Iberville and Bienville, and the present-day city that they were from. Well, of course, we're talking about the Lemoyne brothers, and the city is Montreal. Now, tonight's question. Though too young to serve on the throne, who was the king of France to be at the time of the New Orleans creation? And who was the regent? Who was his regent? Email your answers to steppinout@wyes.org. Our prizes: a copy of the book Fantastic Saints by Ron Calamia, all about Saints superfans, some great photographs. A dish towel with the message "Lawn and Order" from our friends at wearablevegetables.com. Plus, a pair of free admission passes to either the Audubon Zoo, Aquarium of the Americas, or tickets for the Butterfly Garden and Insectarium. You can go to WYES.org for our online calendar to see our lineup of events, including the Piety Street Market this Saturday, a free organ recital at St. Louis Cathedral on Sunday, and a Christmas tree lighting at the Riverwalk next Tuesday. You can also link to our WYES YouTube channel to view our program. In 2010, New Orleans lost one of our city's most beloved arts activists. We're talking about Celeste Seymour Judell. She was involved with both the visual and performing arts scene, as well as WYES. She was tireless in her commitment to such organizations as the New Orleans Opera Association. Previous recipients include Barbara Motley, Sidney and Walda Bestoff, Dorothy Coleman, and Ricky Graham, to name just a few. This year, our winners are arts activists and artist Allison, Stewart, and Campbell Hutchinson. And they are the founders of KidSmart, a nonprofit that encourages underserved children in public schools to develop their art skills, both actually performing and visual arts too. We're so thrilled that you're with us, and we want to raise our glasses to toast Campbell and Allison, who are here tonight. And the award, which is so beautiful, was created by Mark Rosenbaum, Rose Tree Arts Glass in Algiers Point, and you'll see that. It's just gorgeous, but it was specially created for you all. I just think it is so very beautiful, and you can see it. Look at that. Oh, it is just wonderfully done, and the colors, I think, are just fabulous. But we miss our Celeste. She was with us every Friday, helping us out with Steppin Out, and our stylist. We miss her very much, but we're so glad. And we knew, well, actually, as we were talking about, turns out she was a big fan of yours, Allison, loved your work.
Yes, I knew Celeste, and she was an elegant, elegant woman. And in fact, I hand-delivered that painting to her home on St. Charles Avenue.
Yes, she had.
And we developed a marvelous friendship.
Oh, so glad. Well, before we talk about you all and your art, of course, let's talk about KidSmart. How did it start?
It started in 1998. Allison and I were attending a seminar in Aspen, Colorado, put on by the Anderson Ranch Arts Center. The topic was the state of the arts at the turn of the millennium, because this was 1998. And we heard speaker after speaker talk about how the arts programs were being cut out from the programs in public schools, and particularly the poorer schools. And then we heard examples of people like Bill Strickland from Pittsburgh, who started a program in Pittsburgh and to help children to fill the gap. And we heard other people who talked about how they kind of took control and did it themselves. Allison and I had to drive back to Denver to catch a plane to New Orleans the next day. And on the way, we not only set up what we thought was going to be the boundaries of KidSmart, we even picked out the name. So by the time we finished our drive, we had the whole thing mapped out. But after that, we got a board of directors, an executive director, and started asking people, how do you do something like this? And so we went to educators and people who particularly worked with children, and learned a lot about them. And we kicked off our first program in the Fisher Elementary School in 1999.
That's wonderful. And so to this day, this continues on, and the artists work in numerous public schools in the area, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
This year we're in 9 public schools. We have been in the past up to 12 public schools. K through 8, we serve that population. And we started with one school, Fisher Elementary, with 20 children, and we would work with them on Saturdays. They were brought to the school, we fed them breakfast, we took them to the ACES Survival Species Center across the river in Algiers, and we introduced them to the woods. And the first time we introduced them, they would not get off the bus. They had never been away from their housing environment. And so we learned very quickly that we have to start slowly to integrate these children into the bigger world and to show them through the arts how valuable they are.
Well, what a great organization. But let's now talk about you all, and both of you
Well, I
are
want to put a
active
footnote on
artists. Okay.
From that, we have reached 33,000 kids in the New Orleans area.
Congratulations.
Since that first event.
Right.
So we right now have about 3,300 kids in our program, and we're averaging about that per year. So
Well, congratulations. Gee
Thank
whiz.
you. And they're in the visual and performance art, drama, poetry, and music.
Wow,
So
wonderful.
And these are teaching children not only life skills, but curriculum through projects dealing with art.
Wow,
And
incredible.
so we're mighty proud.
Time to talk about you all, though, and your art, which is, of course, very organic and dealing with nature and some abstract.
Right.
Share your vision while we
Sure.
show some of your work.
I work in that kind of ambiguous zone between non-objective and realism, and it's various degrees of abstraction. It is, this is, for instance, on the bayou. All of my work is involved with the way we live in our environment and how our environment is changing. So my work is about the losing the Louisiana wetlands, the fragility and the vulnerability of the land, and the things we are doing to affect that land.
And you are represented through Arthur Roger
Yes.
on Julia.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then Campbell, yours is more figurative, and I
Yes.
know you love animals.
That's right, exactly right. And so I started a lot later than Allison in terms of painting.
Originally, you're an attorney.
This is one that's hanging in our house that I did several years ago, Three Amigos. And there's our Louisiana state bird. Eye to eye. This celebrates what we like to do in Louisiana, and that's eat.
Absolutely. Now, both of you all, you have your studios, I know, in the Mid-City Art Studios, don't you?
I do.
You do?
I do not.
Oh, you
my,
don't?
My studio is in a condominium next to our home.
Oh, okay. So that's convenient.
So, right, it is.
Not sure we
convenient.
could work together.
Yeah.
We should show together, but
We're smart enough to separate on that basis.
right.
Well, once again, it's great to have you with us, and congratulations for all that you do for the community. And you also create beauty, so many,
you
many
very
things.
much.
We're so glad. And now it's time for our other artist spotlight. We are showcasing the works of art that are featured in the area Dante Contemporary Craft Gallery's current exhibit. Here we have a painting by Kim Zabia, and they are handmade coasters right there by Gary Schiro, titled Queen Bee. These, as well as works by Patrice McMurray and Jordan Wade, will be on view through November 30th. Visit Aria Dante's website for more information. Now, Alan.
Well, you know, back in 1951, a 31-year-old Yul Brynner was offered the role of King Mongkut, based on the recommendation of his very good friend Mary Martin. And again, he assumed this role, which became the biggest role of his life, having starred in the original cast, and then, of course, taking that role and taking it on another 4,600 plus performances, making him, I believe, the longest running character associated with one single actor in Broadway history. And of course, he filmed the 1956 classic with Deborah Carr. 2 years ago, Lincoln Center presented the latest revival in The King and I, basically the Rodgers and Hammerstein's classic work. I was privileged to see this very production on Broadway. He stars, that is, the star of this role is Jose Yana, and he is absolutely fantastic, starring opposite Laura Michelle Kelly as Anna Leon Owens, the British governess charged with teaching the children of the king. Yana reminds me in many ways of a youthful Yul Brynner. He's strong, he's a resolute force on stage, and his comic timing is impeccable. He's really charming, totally believable as a king, and he's trying to bring, of course, his country into the modern times of the 19th century. But with songs like I Whistle a Happy Tune and Hello Young Lovers and Something Wonderful, most of the well-known songs are handled by Kelly, who possesses a really remarkable instrument. Also quite lovely in song are the voices of Joan Almadelia and Cute Lim as Lady Tiang and Tup Tim, respectively. They do songs like Something Wonderful and I Have Dreamed. Of course, the production really revolves around this large ensemble of very talented ballet stars and, of course, the children. We don't want to leave them out. They are marvelous and adorable. The production values of this Broadway national tour are really very high. I really can't recommend it very high. I did see the original in the Vivian Beaumont Theater, but there were many of the elements that they were able to bring on the road, although the big ship that they have that comes out to the second balcony doesn't quite make it all the way to the second balcony of the Sanger, but it's very good. I also found the orchestra under the baton of Gerald Steichen in really fine form. You know, on Broadway, the orchestra was 29 pieces. Here it's 16, so they're missing about 13, but you really don't notice. You really don't. It's fantastic. Yeah. So again, Rodgers and Hammerstein, the sumptuous sounds. Go check out the last few performances of The King and I over at the Sanger Theater. Now, over at the Always Theater, See 'em on Stage Productions is presenting Thrill Me. This is the two thrill-seeking murderers, Leopold and Loeb, and a musical based on their lives. Again, this was captivating all the headlines in the 1920s. It stars John Fitzgerald as Nathan Leopold and Eli Tim as Richard Loeb. The play is really a psychological thriller with only occasional voiceovers taking the action to move it along sometimes from some other actors, but it's really just two people on stage. Perhaps more menacing is Eli Tim, who as Loeb convinces Leopold to take part in more and more daring and complicated criminal acts in order to strengthen their homosexual relationship. But this is not just a homoerotic tale. It's really a psychological study in just how far one partner will go to please the other. It's also interesting to see the two draw on each other and to continue that relationship, what they do to satisfy each other's needs, but also just who's in charge remains to be seen. This really aptly named piece, Thrill Me, is full of very interesting music and lyrics by Stephen Dolganoff, and they really advance the motivations of both the characters. It's a play that's really not intended for youngsters now, but it'll probably offend a few people out there who are turned off by antisocial and psychopathic actions. But I have to say, you know, the question is Leopold and Loeb both sociopaths, or was one taken in by the other? Aha! So I really enjoyed this work. I thought, you know, Christopher Betzavenia, who's the director, did a marvelous job. He really, you know, brought everything to the floor.
guy.
He is, and he just
great.
got finished one production right into sliding into the other one. So again, it really reveals a darker part of man's psyche. It deals with, again, horrific thrill crimes, but I should point out there's not one droplet of blood, and for seeing him on stage, that's saying a lot. Again, Thrill Me, the Leopold and Loeb story, weekends through November the 26th at the Always Lounge. Meanwhile, if you want a little bit of a knee slapper and some fun, check out Ricky Graham, Varla Jean Merman, and Sean Patterson. They're back with their Broadway hijinks of Hello, Darlin'. This is their New Orleans tribute to the Great White Way on Broadway. And of course, they cover everything from Les Miserables to Phantom of the Opera. Of course, they renamed it Phantom of the Okra. This is up and down the funniest Ricky Graham and Varla Jean Merman vehicle that they've ever had. And of course, Sean's fantastic too. Ricky and Varla are at the top of their game. Do not miss it. I don't know whether or not many tickets are left because they always sell out on these shows. And just to recap, one other thing that's happening right now, and only a few more shows remain into 2018. But if you want to catch the Victory Bells tribute to the Andrews Sisters, the wartime America's wartime sweethearts, they're going to have one last show for 2017 this coming Wednesday, November the 22nd. And again, it's coupled with a brunch as well. Great time there. Again, I can't say enough about the beautiful time at BB Stage Door Canteen, and check that out as well.
That's always so much fun to go there,
Yeah.
and it's a great space too.
And
Makes me
again,
pretty busy.
you're not going to find more talented, players than you've got Shelby Mack and the others that are playing with. They're fantastic. They really sound just like the Andrews Sisters.
Okay. All right. Well, time for our picks of the week. Allison, anything coming up for you? Once again, check out Arthur Roger and with your works and your
I'm getting
online.
ready. I'm working with a New York artist to put on a traveling show about climate change. So apropos of what we were talking about in the Louisiana wetlands and the rising water, I'm all involved in that visually.
Very good. Oh, great. Poppy.
The Treme Gumbo Festival is this weekend. That's Saturday and Sunday from 11 till 7 at Armstrong Park. Admission is free. There'll be tons of great gumbo and tons of wonderful music.
All right.
Great.
Now, we should mention that your work is available through Soren Christensen Gallery
yes.
on Julia, but also you do these books. Tell us about the books.
Every fall.
Let's show.
Okay,
We'll
this
show and
is
tell
my
here. Okay.
latest one.
Here's one.
Uncommon. I do one a year for our grandchildren, and then we
it's your
started
own
marketing
poetry
at the Mid-City Arts Studios, and I've got quite a following on it. So
Absolutely. And it includes your paintings, your more
these
recent
are,
paintings, doesn't it?
My paintings, and then I write a limerick about each one of them. And the limericks are pretty funny. I call this a children's book, but it's mainly for the adults who are reading it.
All right, well, great. And blurb.com is where you can order that, of course, we should
you can
point
find
out.
all 10 of my books
Very
on
good. Yeah, I just bought
blurb.com.
your newest one. I had so much fun looking at it.
I'm glad you did,
Yeah,
Peggy.
very good.
Thank you.
Alan.
Well, I want to let everybody know a very unusual presentation. It's a Pulitzer Prize-winning play. It's a student production, though, at Delgado College on the Timothy K. Baker Theater stage, and that's going to be Our Lady of 121st Street. And apparently it involves a missing body. It's at a funeral home and a lot of other interplay there. From what I understand, it's very, very well done. Shows are going to be at 8 o'clock on Saturday and 3 o'clock on Sunday. Tickets start at $12, and I think for high school students as little as $8.
All right,
So-
great, thank you. I am looking forward to, in a few weeks, we're going to have Butch Care and Becky Allen
Yes.
with their Christmas show. I'm already
what
anticipating that. And we should point out, all through December on Steppin Out, we're going to have lots of holiday music. That's a very big deal. We have to use that beautiful piano that we have now,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So it's going to be so much the symphony chorus. Anyway, looking forward to all of that. My picks now. And there will be an unveiling of a newly restored mural by the world-renowned British graffiti artist Banksy this Saturday at Studio B on Royal Street. The event will also have a screening of the documentary Saving Banksy. My understanding is that he and some of his assistants came here after the storm and did sort of guerrilla, if you will, murals. Some still exist and some don't. Visit Studio B's Facebook page for more information on that. The fourth iteration of Prospect New Orleans' International Art Exhibition will begin this Saturday all over town and run through February 25th of next year. Visit their website for a complete list of Prospect 4's venues, including the Angela King Gallery, too. And don't miss the annual St. Catherine's Day Hat Parade this Sunday. The parade kicks off at the corner of Pleasant Street and St. Charles Avenue at 10 a.m. You can join in and bring your best looking hat. This is on Sunday, of course, and your best bottle of bubbly. Say that real fast for the parade. And looking ahead, Lenny Zenith. Remember Lenny Zenith? Johnny J, the Belladonna Lovers, and others will be performing at the Willow for a Jimmy's Reunion Show and Fundraiser next Tuesday. Tickets are just $10, and the show starts at 8 o'clock. Money is being raised to fund a documentary on Jimmy's, that historic music club right there uptown. Now, though, we will be leaving you with a clip from the New Orleans Opera's production of Offenbach's Orpheus and the Underworld, which was actually presented last weekend. Sarah Hershkowitz plays Eurydice, who leads the singing of the famous Can. What a wonderful production. Videotape by Craig Kramer. And by the way, just before we go to that, our New Orleans, The First 300 Years, will air tomorrow at 4 p.m. and on Thanksgiving at 1 and 9 p.m. Also, tickets are still available for Shake, Rattle, and Roll. That's a really great 50s fundraiser we have at WYES at the station. Check out our website. You can also purchase tickets at the door. Thank you all so very much. It's great to have you. Once again, congratulations. We love our Celeste. One more toast. One more toast here.
Here's Celeste.
Yeah, here's to Celeste, our dear friend. And thank you very much for watching, and happy Thanksgiving. Good night.